What are hooks in React? Okay, so hooks are introduced in React functional component. Okay, so earlierly in previous versions, there is no state management in functional components. There is no state management in functional components. So only in class components we are going to manage that state and we are going to update that state values. Okay, so in functional components there is no state. Okay, so that is the reason on those days they are going to call this particular functional components as stateless components. Functional components are stateless components earlierly. Okay, so then again they have introduced these particular hooks in functional component. So hooks are nothing but to manage state in functional component, not in class component. Okay, we are going to work with these particular things within the functional components. So these are introduced for only functional components. Okay, we are going to implement these things. So to update the state like or state management. Okay, so then again we are going to work with any other props, all these things. So which is easy. Okay, comparing to class components. So here these React hooks are helpful to update that particular state easily. Update add any. We are going to declare the state. We are going to declare the state. So then again we are going to update it. Okay, use state. మనం declare చేసాము update చేస్తున్నాం using set state method. So here so I have already downloaded it, right? Yeah. So here React hooks. Hooks are the feature in React introduced in 16th version. Earlierly there is no hooks in functional components or in React. Okay. So there is no state management in functional component. Okay. So they are going to call these functional components are stateless. Okay. So here now it is available. We are able to do state management in functional components as well. Okay. So here, so why do you need hooks? Okay, simplify state management, reuse stateful logic, clean and readable code, easy to test. Okay, so we are able to test easily. Okay, using this particular things. Not only this. Okay, so which is not only these things. By working with this particular React hooks, we will understand so how easy it is to work with React comparing to class components. Once if you are familiar with this particular functional component React hooks, so you are able to implement this particular things inside the functional components easily. Okay, so earlierly we have discussed state and props. Okay, so state is nothing but it is an data container. Okay, so which will be helpful to access the data inside the component, entire component. Okay, so then again props. So props is a shorthand property where we are going to pass the data from the one component to another component. Like it will support only unidirectional data flow where it will just pass the data from parent components to child components. We will never ever able to pass the data from the child component to parent components. Okay, so done. So then again props are nothing but it is an immutable. We are not able to modify. Okay, done. So these are the basic hooks. So we have already completed this use state. Then again use effect. Okay, side effects of that particular functional component. Okay, so updating phase, mounting phase, unmounting phase. So in these cases, it is going to rise in some side effects. To avoid these things, we are going to use this use effect. Okay, so here today we are going to discuss use context. Okay, so what is this use context? We are going to see. Then again, we are going to discuss so use reducer, use reference. Okay, so these are the things we are not going to use much, but we will just try to understand. Okay, So done. So this use reducer is mandatory. Then again use ref. Okay, in interview they are going to ask. So maximum these are the three important things, but we need to aware of these things also. Okay, so whatever we need, we are going to learn those things. Okay, so then again rules of React hooks. Only call hooks at the top level, means before the render. Okay, just remember, like before the render only we are going to maximum time we are going to call this particular hooks. Okay, then again only call hooks from React functional components. Okay, we are not able to perform many things in class components by using this particular React hooks. Clear? Okay. So if you need, you can just go through with this particular theoretical. Okay. So otherwise, just try to understand how real it is working. Then create your own what it is statements. Okay. Done. So now I am going to create. Sorry. So here. So here I am going to create use context dot JSX. Done. So try to create function. We have not discussed this functional component, right? Okay, we have not discussed it. Okay, so how many functions available in JavaScript? How many functions available in JavaScript? So there will be multiple functions. So regular functions like whatever function expression, sorry, function declaration, arrow functions. Okay, then again anonymous functions, all these things, right? We can use any functions here to create that particular component. So now we have seen all these things by using regular functions. Regular normal functions we have created, but this time I'm going to use arrow function. Okay, we will try whether it will work or not. Const use effect, sorry, use context is equal to arrow function I'm going to use here. Done. Okay, so here return, it is going to return fragments first. So inside this, whatever we need, we are going to load it. So div or else h2 use context. Use context. So what is use state? What is use state? We are going to do state management in functional components. Okay, so on that time we are going to use state. Okay, use effect. So use effect will act as, so which is able to control the side effects of that particular component. So there will be a life cycle methods of that particular component. So in each phase, so this use effect will works as differently. Okay, so in mounting phase, so the syntax we need to pass empty dependency array. So it will act as mounting phase. If you are passing any state values inside that particular dependency array, so it will act as updating phase. Okay, so then again unmounting phase whenever that use effect is returning something. Okay, so like this, that use effect will work. So to track or else to create that lifecycle methods, we are going to use effect. Okay, so API calls also we are able to done inside the use effect. So now use context. What is this use context? So use context will helps us to pass the data from the parent component to child components. However, props are working right same way. But the drawback for the props is, so just I'm going to create. First, I'm going to explain how props will works. So here I need to export it. So what is the function name here? What is the function name here? Use context. I have exported it. I need to import it. In index.js, I'm going to import it. So here use context. Done. So npm start. So done. It is running. So it has not saved it. It is taking a switch. It is just taking some time to load. Just please wait. Okay. So here, so we need to pass the props. Okay. So I am going to create a few more components. So component a dot js. So then again, one more component b dot js. So then again here one more component c dot js. So these are the three components I have created. So each component contains function component c. Okay. So I'm going to return here. So here I'm going to mention h1 component c. So now export default component c. So same, I'm going to take a copy. So mention inside this component a. Okay. So here just change this component a. So then again component b. So here change component b. I'm going to change it here. It's still loading. It. npm npm start. Done. Now it is working. Okay. So use context has been loaded. Okay. So here index.js, inside this index.js, I have just mentioned only use context component. So use context component coming from here. So it contains only one h2. Okay. So this is the one which is rendering here. Okay. Now what I am going to do? So I am just making component A as a child to this particular use context component. So component A. Now component A is the child for use context component. Okay. So done. So here, now component A. So, okay, I am coming to the component A. So here I am loading component B. Okay. So now component B is the child for component A. Okay. So first use context, under the use context component A. Component A has child, one more child, component B. For component B, what is the use context? For component B, what is the use context? Use context. This is the main parent component. So for this parent, there will be a component A. This is the child. So then again, I am going to this component A. Component A has child component B. Then what is the relation between use context and component B? Pawan, use context keep child component A. Okay, na? So component A ki child component B. Component B use context ki ఏమవుతుంది? చైల్డ్ అవుతుంది, గ్రాండ్ చైల్డ్ అవుతుంది. అంతే కదా? అంతేనా కాదా? గ్రాండ్ చైల్డ్. ఓకేనా? అదే కదా దాని నుంచి అడుగుతుంది. ఓకే. అంతే, అదే గ్రాండ్ చైల్డ్ అవుతుంది. ఓకేనా? సో హియర్ అగైన్ ఐ am making this component B. Okay, so component C as child here. Okay, so it has been not imported. Now import. Okay, use context is the topmost parent. For this parent, there will be a component A is the child. For component A, B is the child. For B, C is the child. So C is the last child. There is no again children's here. Okay, so now it is going to display all the elements. Okay, even though I am rendering this use context contains component A. It is going to render that particular component A. So whenever it starts rendering component A, so there will be a component A. There will be again one more component. It will start rendering this particular component. Okay, B. So then again it is going to render this component B. So then again it is available here one more component. It is going to render this again. Okay, so like this it is going to render nestedly. Okay, so now we are not aware of this use context concept. We are aware of props, right? We are aware of props. Now I need to pass the data from use context parent. Okay, use context parent component to this component B. How to pass? So here, just I am creating here value is equal to, directly we will try to pass ReactJS. Okay, done. So I'm passing value is the key name. Okay, so then again value for key name is ReactJS. Course is my key name. Value for this course is ReactJS. So I'm just passing for this component A. Okay, so now I need to capture it. How to capture? I need to mention here props. Okay, I have just captured it. Now console.log. So if I try to print props, so what I'm getting? Object. Course ReactJS. Object name props. So I'm printing here props, right? Since that object name is nothing but props. Props dot course. Now what will be the output? ReactJS. Okay. So now just this particular props dot course, I need to pass to again component B. So this time I'm just changing the key name. Value is equal to, so here I'm passing props dot course. You can just pass props also, no issue. Just for your understanding purpose, I'm just simplifying it. That's it. Okay. So now key name is value. Value will be ReactJS. Okay, for that key name. Done. So I'm going to component B. Here I'm going to pass this props. So try to console it. Console.log props. Value is equal to ReactJS. Okay. So like this, we need to pass the props from the top parent to childs in hierarchy. Okay. There will be a components hierarchy, right? Okay. So just give me a second. React component tree. Okay, so it is fine. This is fine. So this is root parent. Okay, so this is parent. So from this parent, there will be three chains. Okay, so just remove this node, this node. Just focus on this node. That's it. So this is use context. Use context has child component A. Component A has child component B. Now I need to pass the data from use context component to this particular B component. How I can pass? I am just aware of props. Okay, by using props, I am just passing. I have declared the data here. I have declared the data at first root node. Okay, from here, I need to pass to the component A first. Then I am resolving it here. Okay, I'm just capturing it. Then again, I am passing through this component A to the component B. So here I am capturing it and I am using it. Okay, so actually I am not using that particular data in this component A. I am not using. So why I am sending? So just to pass this particular data to the component B. So నేను కాంపోనెంట్ A లా డేటాను యూజ్ చేయట్లా. సో కానీ నేను కాంపోనెంట్ డేటాని కాంపోనెంట్ లో యూజ్ చేయకపోయినా కానీ నేను పంపిస్తున్నా. ఎందుకు పంపించాలి? ఎందుకంటే B డైరెక్ట్ చైల్డ్ కాదు యూజ్ కాంటెక్స్ట్ కి. సో అందుకని నేను కాంపోనెంట్ ఏకి పంపించి అక్కడి నుంచి B కి పంపిస్తున్నా. ఏలో అయితే నేను యూజ్ చేయట్లే, కానీ B కి పంపించడం కోసం ఏకి పంపించాల్సి వస్తుంది ఇక్కడ. ఓకేనా? సో దిస్ scenario is nothing but props drilling. Okay, so we are passing the props in each level of that particular child. Okay, so we are going to send that particular props in each level. In every level we are going to apply that particular props manually. Okay, whenever we need to share the data from parent component to child component, we are entering this particular props manually in each level of that particular component. Okay, so just assume there will be almost 20 components. 20 components. How I can just manage? So I need to pass this props in every level, right? 20 times I need to just capture that particular props, then again I need to pass. Then again capture like this, I need to do almost 20 times or else 19 times. Okay. So to avoid these things, there will be a thing, use context. Okay, use context will help us. We are able to pass the data from the parent to its child directly wherever we need. Okay, so I need just this particular props at component C. Okay, I'm not going to capture these props in component B and component A. Okay, so directly I'm going to utilize that particular props in component C. Okay, so this use context will help us to avoid, to avoid props drilling. Okay, so props drilling is the process where we are going to mention these props manually in each level. Okay, clear? Any doubts? Okay, now the implementation of this particular use context. Okay, so how we are going to work with this use context? Since it is an React hook, we need to import it. Okay, so now const. So my particular context name is so user context. You can just name anything here. This is just variable. Okay, user context is equal to so React dot create context. So it has been not imported, right? Create context. So I think we don't need to import. Again, at least React, we need to import. React. Done. So user context is my variable name. Okay. So here I'm just creating that context. Okay. So just I have created. So now here user context. So now what I need to do? So just create here user context dot provider. Immediately suggesting here provider dot provider. So whenever we are using these networks, Geo, Airtel, all these things, who is the provider for Geo network? Reliance only. Okay. So like this, there will be a internet providers. Okay, Airtel is a provider, Geo is a provider, BSNL like this. Who are the consumers? Users. Okay, who are using these mobiles. So with that respect to like networks. Okay, so they're going to use like they are the consumers of that particular network. So here use context is the provider. Okay, so it is going to provide the data. Okay, so now just to wrap this particular component A inside this user context dot provider is the tag I have created. So inside this particular tag, I need to just wrap this component A. Okay, so now I no need to pass here. I no need to pass here. I am able to pass this particular thing here itself. Here itself, we are able to pass value. We'll pass it as ReactJS. Done. There is no others, right? Done. Yeah. Now I need to access this particular ReactJS in component C. Okay, so I'm going to remove these props. Okay, we are not using it, right? Okay, I'm going to remove it. Okay, done. Component B also, so I'm not going to print it. Just stop. Okay, so here inside the component C, I'm going to use that particular use context. Okay, so for that, so here what we need to do is first we need to export it. Okay, so without exporting, we are not able to use here. So first we need to export it. So export. So here any doubts? Export. So there will be a default export. So in React, there will be two types of exports. One is default export, another one is naming export. Okay, so default export will be only one. Okay, in one component. So for component, default export will be only one. One time we are going to use this default export. But naming exports, we are able to use n number of times. Okay, so you can just export variables also if you need. Okay, so you can just export. Done. So now here, so what I need to do? Use context. Just give me a second. So user is not giving. Okay, just give me a second. User context. Done. So it has been imported here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do? So user context dot consumer. Okay, dot consumer. So here I am going to use this particular what it is key name value. Okay, so here I am going to use it. So value so I need to pass it here. Div course name for this value. Yes. So we will just check it whether it is displaying or not. See, it is coming in component C. If it is coming in component B, so before this component C only it is going to load. But we are getting it after the component C. So we will just understand it is coming from component C only. Okay, so like this we are going to access. Okay, so is this component C is direct child for this component use context? Is this component C is direct child for this use context? Direct child? No, it is not a direct child. So it is an indirect child. But even though if it is indirect, we are able to pass this data to the component C. Okay, so use context, which is going to helps us to pass the state or global values. Okay, to pass the state or global values. So without using this particular prop drilling method, so throughout the component, we are able to access that particular state and globally declared values. Okay, so in each level, we are not going to worry about to maintain or to manage. Okay, so directly wherever we need, we are able to access. So it is clear, right? Any doubts till this point? Component C. Is there any doubts? Common? Girish?
No, sir.
No. But I have a doubt that I am just explaining use context hook. But where I have used use context? ఎక్కడ ఎక్కడ యూస్ చేసి ఇక్కడ ఇదా name it as sample. So here also I'm going to name it sample. Okay, so here also sample. Done. We are getting the data where I have used use context. So earlierly it is also not use context. It is just user context. Hmm?
Use context.
Where?
దాని కింద సార్
ఇదా ఇదేంది నవ్య
ఫంక్షన్ కాల్ చేసి
ఫంక్షన్ నేమ్ ఇది ఓకేనా సో ఇది కానీ చేంజ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు మనం ఇదేంది జస్ట్ ఫంక్షన్ నేమ్ అంతే యూస్ కాంటెక్స్ట్ హూక్ నేను చెప్పేది ఇప్పుడు స్టేట్ యూస్ చేసాం న్యూస్ స్టేట్ అని యూస్ చేసాం దాన్ని ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసామా లేదా ఎక్కడ అది ఫంక్షన్ కాంపోనెంట్ యూస్ స్టేట్ యూస్ చేసామా లేదా దాన్ని ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసామా లేదా యూస్ ఎఫెక్ట్ యూస్ చేసాం దాన్ని ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసామా లేదా ఇన్బిల్టా ఇది ఫంక్షన్ నేమ్ ఇది యారో ఫంక్షన్
ఓకే సార్ ఇంపోర్ట్ బిల్ట్
లేదు సో దిస్ ఇస్ అనదర్ వే okay this is another way okay so there will be one more way so it is just variable name this is just variable name okay so this is function name so this is not use context this is also variable name just whatever the name you can just give here so that is the reason I mentioned their user context okay so you can just give sample also no issue whatever the name you need you can just provide it here okay so the thing is here const so data is equal to context from React. So here what I need to pass use context sample Okay, so now try to print data. Console.log data. This context can be top level. Incomplete. Sorry. Insert the function we need to mention. Console.log data. See, it is coming, right? Data is coming. Coming from component C, line number 8. Line number 8, component C. Okay, so here just remember the rules of this particular React hooks. We need to mention that hooks inside the functional component at the top level. Okay, inside the function top level. Okay, not in component top level. Okay, so inside the function here it is top level, means just upper side of that particular return keyword. Okay, so upper portion. Okay, clear. So here it is use context. I have used no. Okay, so now this time no need to pass this particular sample, all this consumer, all these things. Okay, so just pass here. So here what I have done, const data, this is a variable name. Okay, variable name is equal to use context. So I have created context in use context component. Here parent component, I have created the context. Okay, so you can just pass here direct value also. You can just pass any value here also. Okay, so I'm passing here JavaScript. JavaScript. So I'm not passing any provider here. Okay. So just created a context. That thing is nothing but JavaScript. Sample is equal to JavaScript. Just try to understand like this. So now I have just using use context. So which context it is? Sample. So sample is coming from use context component. I have imported it here. Okay. So now try to print it. JavaScript. Okay, load JavaScript. Okay, if you need to use in this particular UI, just pass h3 is equal to course. What I need to pass? Data. Done. Okay, so here I have created a context. React.create context. So whatever the value I need to pass, just that value you are going to pass. So if it is string, you can just pass string. If you need to pass the object, you can just pass object here. Okay, so if you're passing object, so name Peter, so come on, age 30. If you need to pass object or else array, whatever it may be, you can just pass. Okay, so then I have created a context. That context contains the data object. Okay, object contains the data name and age. Okay, so now that particular context name is sample. Okay, I have created it till this point. Now don't worry about this all these things. Just remember, leave it all these things for time being. So I have created this line. Okay, now I need to use this particular things in component C. Okay, you can just create one variable. So const person details is equal to use context. Which context we need to use? Sample. Okay, like this, you can create n number of contexts. Okay, so wherever you need, you are going to pass that particular name of that particular context. If it is sample context, you need to mention here sample. If it is other name, you need to pass that name here. Okay, so sample I'm going to pass. That should be import here. It is use context and sample, both needs to import. Now try to print person details. Data is not defined here. Comment. Again, where we have used. So where we have used data. Right. Now it is coming. Object is printing. Okay. So now if I need to display these details in my UI, how to display? So since I need to open flower braces, person details is nothing but object. So directly we are not able to render this object. We are not able to render object. Person details. Okay, just I'm going to pass. I am Peter. So here I'm going to access age, years, old. Done. So person is an object. We are passing their object. Earlier we are passing string. Now this time I am passing object. Person details dot name. Person details dot age. See, I am Peter and 30 years old. Okay. So whatever the data you need to pass, you can just pass it here. If it is an array also fine, you can just pass. Okay. So just try to do practice. Okay. With array, all these things. So we have seen string and object. Same array also we can just pass. Okay. So this is one more way. Okay. So sample dot provider. So sample is nothing but whatever the context we have created, that context name dot provider. Okay. Here you are going to pass the value. Okay. So then again, no need to mention that child. So C component ఇక్కడ రెండర్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. మనం ఏ కాంపోనెంట్ అయినా రెండర్ చేయొచ్చు. ఓకేనా? సో నేను ఇక్కడ ఈ కాంపోనెంట్ లో ఈ కాంపోనెంట్ ఏనే రెండర్ చేయాలనుకుంటున్నా. సో అవాయిడ్ వేర్ ఎవర్ వి నీడ్ యు ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు మెన్షన్ దట్ కన్స్యూమర్. దట్స్ ఇట్. సో రెండిట్లో ఏది ఈజీగా ఉంటే అది ఫాలో అవ్వండి. సో బెటర్ ఇక్కడ యూస్ కాంటెక్స్ట్ ఉంటుంది మనం. ఓకేనా? సో అందుకే ఇది చెప్పా, డౌట్ అడుగుతారేమో అని. యూస్ కాంటెక్స్ట్ లేదు కదా, అడుగుతారేమో అనుకున్నాం. ఓకేనా? So okay, no issue. So whatever you are feeling easy, just you can remember. But concept is same. Okay, so దానికి అంతే పాస్ చేస్తాం డేటా దీనికి. Okay, syntax different. So here we are going to create function. Okay, arrow function it is. Okay, just assume it is an like this arrow function it is. Okay, but here we no need to worry about all this function, all these things. Directly you can just provider. సో ఇక్కడ ఆరో ఫంక్షన్ వల్ల ఇక్కడ జస్ట్ వాల్యూ పాస్ చేస్తున్నాం. ఈ వాల్యూని క్యాప్చర్ చేయడానికి ఇక్కడ ఫంక్షన్ పడుతుంది. సో డైరెక్ట్ గా రాదు, డైరెక్ట్ గా పెడితే రాదు. సో ఫంక్షన్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తే కన్జ్యూమర్ దాని వాల్యూని ప్రొవైడ్ చేస్తుంది. ఆ వాల్యూ అవైలబుల్ గా ఉంటే శాంపిల్ డాట్ కన్జ్యూమర్ యూసేజ్
అక్కడ వాల్యూ పాస్ చేయలేదు సార్. ఇప్పుడు ప్రొవైడర్
కన్జ్యూమర్ అంటే తీసుకుంటుంది డేటా, తీసుకొని ఉంది ఆల్రెడీ. ఓకేనా? తీసుకొని ఉంది. సో దాంట్లో వాల్యూ అనేది ఉందా లేదా. సో ఇక్కడ మనం వాల్యూ ఇచ్చామా, కీని ఇక్కడ వాల్యూ ఇచ్చామా, ఈ వాల్యూ అనేది ఉందా లేదా. ఇక్కడ ఉంటే దీనికి పాస్ చేస్తుంది ఈ పారామీటర్ కి. ఓకేనా? సో లేదు, ఇక్కడ 2-3 వాల్యూస్ ఉన్నాయి. సో మళ్ళీ కామా ఇచ్చి మళ్ళీ డేటా ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు సమ్ డేటా పాస్ చేసాం అనుకోండి. సమ్ డేటా పాస్ చేసుకోండి. అగైన్ ఇక్కడ మనం వాల్యూ కామా లైక్ దిస్. ఓకే, సో అలా ఆ నేమ్ ఇక్కడ మెన్షన్ చేయాలి. ఓకేనా? లైక్ దిస్. సో కంపేరింగ్ టు దిస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఈజీ. ఓకే, బేస్డ్ ఆన్ యువర్ రిక్వైర్మెంట్ యూ కెన్ ఫాలో ఎనీథింగ్. సో 2 కేసెస్ ఉంటాయి, 2 ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేసుకుంటాం. క్లియర్? ఆన్లైన్ ఎనీ డౌట్స్? Yeah. So till here I am going to stop. Yeah. So